Welcome to Coming Up for Air, an introspective podcast. I am your co-host, Jaxon.
I'm your co-host, Brandon. What it do?
And today we're going to be talking about growing up and managing expectations. But first we're going to do our check-in. So hope y'all are doing well. Brendan, you had something pretty big just happen to you. You turned 21.
Yeah, bro. I'm out here. I'm officially able to go to the store and buy a beer. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Congrats, brother.
Yeah, it's wild because now I feel like a grown adult because now I can go out with you and the homies and not watch you guys drink and just be like...
Yeah. But we'll talk more about that later.
Yeah.
But you had something you wanted to talk about for the start of this podcast.
Yeah, bro. It's crazy. So for all my people who allegedly...
Allegedly,
super allegedly, like maybe don't, you know what I mean? Dabble with a certain type of
Shrooms.
Yeah, shrimps.
One guy.
Yeah. You know that, the special shit. You know, I haven't in a while. I haven't tripped in a minute. So your boy was just going through some shit. I feel like I was holding on to just hella anger, hella I don't know. I was like mad at the world. I felt like the world owed me shit after the shit I've been through. You know what I mean? So your boy tripped out on a roof with the homie. Shout out to the homie Ryan. Tripped out on a roof with my boy and just like kind of came to terms with all the shit that I was holding on to and that I was angry about. So like I think for me it was just like, because obviously people who are watching this, I'm sure if you know me and you're watching this and you knew me like a while ago, I was a really big like teddy bear simp, like give somebody a hug first, ask questions later type shit, right? And then a lot of shit happened and I turned into like, fuck you. Like, give me a reason why I should give you a hug and think that you're a good human being before I even fucking like...
Waste my time with you?
Yeah, like before I even want to do anything. You know what I mean? So, whether it be friendships, like homie, like whoever it was, like I didn't, like, unless you gave me a reason to like put my time and effort into you, I really didn't care. So yeah. I think trying to find the middle between those two and more of like trying to find like it's okay to be a teddy bear, but it's also needed to be an asshole sometimes. You know what I mean? So kind of just knowing when to pick and choose because like I feel like I was like 100% one way or the other.
Yeah.
So I was either a really big teddy bear or a really big asshole. And if I could like find the 50-50 in the middle, I think we're going to have an A1 dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're kind of just working our way into finding the mesh points, but shout out to the little shroomy buddies. Yeah, bro.
For me, I wanted to talk about fire alarm. So
yeah,
So at my work, we have trash cans and we move the trash cans for you to be right in front of where our fire alarm pole switch is. And at our job, there's a lot of boxes and stuff. And so we'd put some boxes inside trash bags and somebody was standing right where the trash cans go. And so I like long armed it, stretched over, placed the bag down. And then one of the boxes snags and pulls the fire alarm down.
Wow.
And so we're right next to it. It goes off, starts ringing. I'm like, oh, and it's at shift change. It's at shift change. So it's like we just are about to get tapped out. And so we have to clear the line. This dude's mid order and we have to go, yeah, no, we can't serve you. Bounce out. So we clear the line, close it. And then the other shift lead calls the non-emergency line. And I call my boss and I'm like, hey, fire alarm got set off. Just so you know, I don't know if we needed to do anything or anything like that. But it just got pulled. And she's like, oh, that's crazy. And I'm like, yeah, it was me. It was my fault. I did that.
Sorry.
My bad.
My fault.
It was like her last couple days there, too. So she had like 2 days left, and then this happens. And I was like, well...
Just to add on top of it.
Yeah.
A little farewell gift.
Something.
Love you, dog.
But anyway, the fire department shows up, and they're like, oh, dude. Yeah, this happens all the time. And they're like, do you guys have like a key? And for those who don't know, fire alarms are basically like when they're activated, it is so impressive for it to happen accidentally because you have to push in and then pull down on a fire alarm.
Yeah.
It's not just like a pull down. But they get locked in the activated mode. You can't unlock them. You have to have an Allen key. So you take your Allen key, twist it, and it unlocks it, and then you can push it back up.
And it just goes off?
Yeah. and then it'll stop. Sometimes you have like a fire alarm control panel that like you actually have to like silence the alarm on and stuff. And so these guys are like, "Do you guys have a key?" And I said, "No, we don't." And then they're like, "Oh, we should." I was like, "I hope so, because you're the fucking fire department."
Yeah, if it happens so much, like I don't know how you don't have one.
Yeah, and so they pop the key in and then just like do that thing. But that's me setting off the fire alarm. There was
That's fucked.
Yeah, no.
Good job, Jaxon.
A bunch of my coworkers had posted on their Snapchat story like put photos and videos of me, and at one point one of my coworkers, I was like dancing to the song while calling my manager, and I was just like, and they just like were like, "This dude set off the fire alarm," and I was just like, "Fake news. You don't know that?"
Cap.
Yeah, cap.
So Prove it. Where's the camera review?
Yeah, where?
That's fucked.
It's funny though.
That's big fucked.
Yeah, it's funny though.
It's a good story.
Yeah, good time. So, with that, we're gonna dive in. We're gonna dive into the nitty gritty. Today's episode, we're gonna talk about growing up and managing expectations. I think part of the reason why we want to talk about this is Brendan, you, like we said at the start, you just turned 21. So I think it's a really good like topic for us to kind of dive into, and it's something that'll kind of like get your brain thinking, because I think that both of us have had interesting upbringings and like been put on kind of like fast tracks for growing up and stuff. And I know that it's a thing that a lot of people struggle with, is what it means to grow up and like what happens post high school and or college or whatever. For some background, I am a college graduate, and Brendan, you are a high school graduate.
Facts. Because in my opinion, fuck college.
Yeah, that's a whole different topic. But let's talk about growing up too fast. Brendan, hit me with it.
Shit. I mean, in my opinion, I feel like everyone kind of has their own story and their own outlook. Like, kind of like how we talked about a little bit before. Their own perspective on how they've had to grow up faster. I mean, because shit with me, like, my parents were divorced for 7 years before they got back together. Like, me about to go back into high school, they got back together. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, so for having, divorced parents, separated parents and shit like that, I feel like, you kind of are forced to grow up and deal with a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Whether your parents do an amazing job or they do, a crappy job.
Yeah.
You're still forced to deal with some things. And I think people don't realize, like, even parents don't realize, like, I told my parents the other day, like, as much as I'm their child and growing up, they're still growing up as well. Like, in the long run, like, yeah, they're 50 and they're mid-aged and stuff like that, but also at the same time, like, 50 is not shit to, an 80-year-old, to a 90-year-old. They'd be like, for them, they'd be like, damn, I wish I could go back to being 50. You know what I mean?
And what's funny is the fact of, like, I think that a lot of people get really mixed up in the fact that, like, parents, it's their first time doing it too.
Yeah.
It's like picking up anything. And this is like the best way that I can think to describe it, but also like kind of like the worst way. But it's like, if you are making a recipe for the first time or like cooking for the first time, you're not going to do it perfect.
Yeah.
It's just how it is, unless like you're like Gordon Ramsay.
Yeah.
But even then, like, there's always room to improve. And
yeah, like there's a clip of Gordon Ramsay getting absolutely shit on by his mom.
Yeah, and it's like people don't realize that, like, it's their first time being a parent usually. Yeah. Like 9 times out of 10, or like raising that kid, because everybody's different. So like it's their first time doing that, and there's bound to be mistakes or things that they were like, oh, I should have done that better. But like,
Yeah. I don't know. I think, like, for me, like, obviously people who, there's different stories where people, lose their parents, or people who, grow up, in the adoption system, or have had to move out. People who move out on their own at like 16 and end up living their own lives starting off at like 16. That shit is crazy, bro.
Yeah. Do you think that things like that, like growing up really fast, impacts your life a lot, or like 110%. Impacts like the person you become?
Yeah, 110%. Because if you can, you see those stories about people who, moved out or, got kicked out at like 16, mm-hmm. end up becoming, super big people, but that's because they had to survive at such a young age, and their mentality is literally like, bro, how am I going to survive for today?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I got a homie who, I look up to, and she literally looks at her day-to-day basis as, how am I going to get X amount of dollars today? You know what I mean? And that's how she makes her, whole salary and stuff like that, based off of what she does and stuff like that. It's rather than like, your normal 9 to 5, you're going to get paid for this amount of hours. It's like, all right, I'm going to make this amount of money today. And it, like, obviously those 365 days, if you make, X amount of money a day, and then like, it's going to, equal out type shit. So with that, it's just like, I don't know, it's all based off of perspective, based off of how you grew up quickly and in what environment.
Yeah. I think that it also depends. I think that it depends on when you started growing up, like, faster and for what reasons. I think when I was younger, I was in middle school going into high school, and I lost like my friend. I lost him at a really young age, and it was over summer. He got in a pretty bad car accident, and I remember that was kind of like the snap of like, oh, like this. And I had lost like family members before, but no one that I was close to enough for it to like really mean anything, and I wasn't old enough for it to like have an effect. But that was like the first time that I was like, oh, I don't get to speak to them anymore. Like this person is gone. There's no like backwards, you know?
Yeah, it's like a big like life reality like check.
Yeah,
you know
it really is. And we both grew up with pretty much divorced parents. Mine have been divorced for as long as I can remember and stay that way. For a reason that we'll talk about in a different episode probably, but like and it's not important. And but like, well, it is, but I think that also definitely has impacted. I think having divorced parents kind of does make you look at things differently, but it's also so normal here in America that it's like, how much of it can you really look at as like it impacts you, and how much of it is just kind of like, this is society.
Yeah.
Because, 9 out of 10 people have divorced parents. Or I don't know the exact statistic, but it is like a really large percent.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, which is actually wild, and obviously they go into like why people get divorced.
Yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, and there's so many different reasons and stuff into that. Whether people are like, people are getting married just to get married, whether or not like, because I mean we see it all the time where people are in relationships literally just because they're comfortable.
Yeah,
they don't know anything else.
Contentment is poison.
Indeed. It's one of your best like mottos that you just drop out there. I hope you know that.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Yeah, that shit is lit.
But I think
Duke on you with controller though.
I think that growing up super fast it's good in theory, and in some parts it is, because I think I definitely grew up really, really fast. I had a lot of stuff happen to me like in like a small year of time, a couple years of time, that like really impacted the way that I think and I talk to people, and that I kind of try to go about my daily life. And I think that some of it's good, but I think that it also has really impacted like what my view of like childhood is, or like how people should behave, or like work ethic, or like I get a lot more frustrated whenever people are like really childish about things, when I sometimes have to take that second and be like, oh dude, like they're 16, like, let them do their thing, like it's fine. Or like whenever
at his workplace,
not even just that, but like in general, like I will be in an environment that induces me to be around these people, like, and like every now and then I'll pick up a job for my old job, which is for a high school district. So I automatically am surrounded by like this group of people.
I was just like throwing that out there because you never know like what people automatically assume about shit. Yeah. You got to cover your grounds, bro.
Yeah,
people are goofy.
But I'll do like lights and sound. I'll do audiovisual work because I do production stuff, and so I'm automatically around those type of people, and it'll like frustrate me to the core, because I'll be like, I wasn't like this, even though in some ways I was, or you don't want to believe that you were like that, but like.
You like try to remember yourself as like a different person.
Yeah, but even then, like I know some things that I definitely wasn't, and I'm like, man, this is so irritating. Or like, come on, like get over it, grow up. And like, and I struggle with that with like people who are my age too, or older than me. But I think that growing up too fast can kind of like poison the well of like your social dynamics, because I get so tired of people so easily.
Yeah, the social battery for me has like when you first met me, bro. Like I was always on go. Like I was like always screaming. Like I could literally give somebody like hella energy for a minute. You know what I mean? Like nonstop.
Yeah.
And then now I could probably give you like a cool 30 minutes to an hour, bro, before I'm like, hey, bro, like, can I go like smoke, or like, can we like go chill? Like,
yeah,
I'm just trying to.
I need to reset.
Yeah, bro, like I need to just kick it. You know what I mean? So it definitely is like a huge thing where it was like, fuck. You know what I mean? Like this is real life.
Yeah.
It kind of sets in, and it's honestly like it kind of upsets me. Like it's sad to see, bro.
It's sad to see, but like, is it also good that you are in a sense more mature?
Yeah, because even if you don't even look at it as like a maturity, it's just kind of like you learn. Because now I learned who to give that energy to. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Knowing that it's so limited, you treat it as like a.
Do you think
like a treasure?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you think that immaturity is inherently bad, or is a problem?
I don't.
Which I think is something that a lot of people struggle with.
If you're not open minded to it, it is a problem. But if you're open minded to the fact where if like someone's like, bro, you're being immature, you're being kind of childish about this, and rather than just being like, no, I'm not, like super defensive, being like, how am I being childish about this? And if someone dead ass gives you like solid reasoning to where you look at it and you go, yeah, that's kind of childish, learn from it. You know what I mean? But also like, that doesn't mean you're wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't think anyone's feelings are ever like quote unquote wrong or right. You know what I mean? In certain senses, like, yeah, like I understand where you're being childish from, but also understand that you're being childish in the same sense.
I don't even just mean like in the sense of like arguments or like action. Well, I guess in actions, but like in arguments, but like your actions too of like, oh, like doing something like stupid or like kind of silly or whatever because like it's fun, or it's like I think that a lot of people's like mentality is like Disneyland is very immature. Disneyland is for kids.
Yeah, which is crazy to me, bro. Because also, yeah, and not only that, bro, but if you look at so many adults, bro, like kind of how we think about it, how many adults actually have like a solid ass childhood? I'm sure if you ask most adults, they're like, yeah, bro, I can't tell you like
half
my 5 favorite things about my childhood.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Which is something that I've done before at my work. We do like pre-shift like powwows, which is basically like a little like, you know, it's to hype up the crew basically. And I had talked about like, oh, think about like write down what your favorite childhood memory is, the thing that brings you childhood joy, and like half that which is like it's a 10-minute segment basically, and half of it was just them sitting there going
exactly, because like dead ass, bro, some people just like their childhood is like it's more bad than it is good, and it's just like, you know, yeah, we focus more on the negative things and we focus more on like the traumatic shit, but like that's because they stand out the most. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm sure if you genuinely sat there and thought about like, oh, like, yeah, this was, I guess I could count this moment as like a good childhood moment. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, I remember good stuff, but I probably remember more bad shit than the good shit. You know what I mean? True. So as an adult, you know, that you hear people talk about it all the time, especially like with people who are dealing with like mental health, like forgiving your inner child. So like there's people who like meditate and try and get to a point where they like can like either like I've had a homegirl tell me that, you know, she got to the point where she was meditating and she like could see like memories of her younger self, and like she had to like, well, to like grow, she had to accept like who she was as a younger person. You know what I mean? And like all the awkwardness and
Have you seen Good Will Hunting?
No.
It's a movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Robin Williams.
Also Doug.
And
rest in peace.
And it's one of facts. But it's like one of the best movies that it's like honestly up there because the writing is superb in it. And there's a scene where Robin Williams is basically a therapist, and Leonardo is basically like a shithead. His name is Will Hunting. And so Will Hunting basically is like in this like corrections therapy stuff. The most like famous scene is basically either on a park bench or the scene where like Robin Williams is like, it's not your fault, and like he just keeps telling him that, and like eventually like Will just like starts sobbing, and like that's kind of like the mentality, like the thought that you were bringing to my mind of like
forgiving your inner child.
Yeah,
bro, because there's so many people that blame themselves for like the way they are. Like there's so many people like. And, like, to a certain extent, yeah, like...
It is your fault.
Yeah, 110%. But, like, also at the same time, like, I don't think people give themselves enough, like...
If you look at a kid whenever they're doing something stupid and you're like, they don't know better. Same thing applies to you.
Exactly. Like
at a point, you didn't know better.
Yeah, like, you did a lot of shit that, you know, maybe was good or bad, but, you know, people always talk about it. Are we taught to be good human beings? And I say absolutely. Because if you didn't teach a kid what the law was, or if you didn't teach a child what was bad, they would walk into a store, grab some fucking candy, and walk the fuck out and not pay for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
People what the moral compass is.
Exactly. We build the moral compass for people, and then eventually they kind of take it on their own.
I think some of it's natural. I think some of it is ingrained.
I mean, obviously you learn from like context clues. You look around, you start to learn for your own shit and stuff like that. But if it wasn't set from like a certain point, then obviously like it would just be chaotic.
I think, to circle back, like, I think immaturity isn't a problem until it gets in the way of growth or somebody else's growth. I think like it intervenes in your actual like day to day, or like you can't get things done, or you can't reasonably like have arguments or conversations with people without like it being a whole thing, an ordeal. Like say for example, like somebody gets in a fight and the argument gets pretty heated. One person yells at the other, and that the person who got yelled at just like starts sobbing, and then just like leaves. It's like, yeah, it's like a reasonable response, but also like it's important to be able to like deal with those tough moments, because that conversation isn't over usually, and like it's fine if you're like, oh, I need to cool off.
Yeah, and like because it's understandable. Yes, like there are people who like obviously have like traumatic experiences to the point where like as soon as they hear someone raise their voice, like that's it. Just, like, break
and
down.
like I get that 100%.
And there are shit like that, but also at the same time, like, are you working towards it to the point where when you hear someone raise their voice, you kind of collect yourself first and not break down. You know what I mean? Because it's like everything is an excuse. Like, yeah, it's understandable to a certain point, but it's like, all right, are you trying to fix that? Yeah. Are you trying to better that?
And that's what the key is like if you are trying to get better at it, is definitely a super pivotal thing.
Keyword trying. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people expect, you know, you to change shit and be a good fucking human being like the next time you wake up, bro. Like if you work at shit 1% a day and you're slowly working at something, good for fucking you. You know what I mean? Like don't let anybody else's definition of like success or like definition of progress basically run how you look at yours. Yeah. You know what I mean?
And as long as you're making progress, but I mean like there are some people who just like are non-committed. And I think that's a big like thing of like where immaturity shows is like if you say one thing and you're working towards something and then you just kind of halt your progress because
of somebody else.
Not even just because of somebody else, but because like you either get content or you're just like, what's the point? Or you're like, I'm fine the way that I am. Like unwillingness to accept that you're not perfect or that like there are things that you can improve on is one of like my biggest like you are immature and don't know.
Which is why, not to like, you know, I like talking about it, but with like people who take psychedelics, that's why you have like, there's like, the way I explain it, you have two pathways. You have one person who sees the world, because you have a point where you have it called what's in ego death, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Basically, your ego dies, and you realize that you are now a small pebble in the biggest, largest,
the ocean,
literally. You know what I mean? And some people look at it as, okay, so then nothing I do matters in this world. What's the point? And then some people look at it and goes, okay, nothing I do matters in this point in my life. Why not just live life to the absolute fullest and just say fuck it, balls to walls? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And it's like, all right, so you have these people who are now, all right, I want to learn and grow and do as much as I can in my life because I know at the end of the day, like, fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, what's it like? Why not? You know what I mean? If it doesn't matter, why not just enjoy it right now? Yeah. Or are you going to look at it and be like, all right, I hate my fucking life. It doesn't matter anyway. You know what I mean? Like, bro, like, it's a choice at the end of the day. Like, yeah, there are shitty situations and people are always in, you know, going through shitty shit. But also in the same sentence, everyone is going through shitty shit and everyone has their own fucking problems. You know what I mean? Yeah. At some point, you have to work towards, you know, being better and bettering yourself. And it's starting with the smallest things. Like, people don't realize, like, it really is the smallest things, and you start to work your way up. You
know? Speaking of, like, ego and, like, what your life is and what you, like, represent, like, and everything, how do you go about, when you're growing up, like, valuing your time? Like, how do you go what is like your key? What has made you kind of like go how to value your time and understand when you're growing up how important it is, and know that like in your terms, like tomorrow isn't promised.
I ain't even gonna lie to you, bro. My time management is fucking ass, bro.
Yeah.
But in the sense of like thinking about time and like when I'm either handing out my time or what I'm doing with my time, I think now to the point where like I am to the point where if I've given someone my time in my day, I fuck with you.
I think that you are honestly one of the worst people that I know with your time.
I'm so terrible with my time.
Brendan's the type of guy who's like, yeah, I'll be there at 3, and then 5 rolls around and he said, oh, my bad.
Yeah, my bad. I was smoking a blunt. My fault, bro.
No, it's not even just that. It'll like be either like might be I'll be there in 10, and then 30 passes by and he's there. Or,
yeah. So like
and then he'll explain.
Hey, you know what? I'm on Puerto Rican time, bro. That's what I call it, bro. I'm on Puerto Rican time. That's just how we do shit. And now my real homies, including Jaxon, all my real homies know that if I say a time, tax like 30 to an hour on top of that. You know what I mean? Depending on what we're doing and depending on what it is that we are doing. Like, if I have to be on time, I'll be maybe like 5 minutes late. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
he's on East Coast.
He's
on East Coast
time.
time.
I'm on East Coast time. You know what I mean? Yeah, like when it comes to like, if I actually plan some shit out with you, and like get to the point where like you're taking some time, then you know, you mean a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I actually fucking care about you a little bit, you know? So Jaxon knows that like even playing D&D, playing D&D with Jaxon at his house is the most consistent thing in my life right now, which is crazy. Yeah. It's fucking nuts, but it really is. It's nuts. So yeah.
I think that it's a really hard task. Like it's a really hard skill to like understand how to value your time and understand that like every day is
time is money.
Every day is like not earned, but like every day isn't free. It's not like you're gonna wake up tomorrow every single time forever. You know, you will eventually run out of tomorrows, and that's okay. Which is a really dark sentence, but you know, understanding like how pivotal it is to like, I think something over the past couple of years that I've really like, actually since my grandpa passed away, was something that I really started to like hammer in on myself, was understanding how to not drown the people that I love, but like make sure that they know that they're cared about and how much I care. And I've gotten to the point where like I am a lot better at saying, and this is something that I think that everyone should kind of like learn how to do or like learn how to manage, which is like saying what you mean when you feel it, and saying what you want to say and don't leave it unsaid, because say what you need to say, you know. But like having that level of like, sometimes it doesn't matter if it hurts that person's feelings or if, you know, it might make things a little weird for a little bit, or, you know, it's an uncomfortable thing to say because of the fact that, or you're like, oh, they're going to be like, why are you being all weird about this? Which is what one of my roommates does. Anytime that I'm like, hey, dude, like, I love you. Like, you know, I care about you, man. And he'll be like, why are you being weird? And it's just like, and this is how I've been for a while. So he's like he's gotten used to it. He just calls me out on it still.
Yeah,
but
respectfully on both ends, if you can't call somebody out, let alone let some extra love on somebody, respectfully, in my opinion, we've talked about this, you're not a good friend.
Yeah, you're not.
If you don't surround yourself with the type of people that can call you out on your bullshit and also tell you, hey, I'm doing this because I love you and because I care about you and I want you to be a better human being, get yourself some new fucking people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because those are people who want to see you grow. Those are people who want to see you do better. But also in the same sense, like,
my whole thing with making sure that those things are said is because like it's the whole, like, I call it the one that got away theory, which is basically like everyone has this moment, right? There's always somebody that you can look at in your life and be like, that's the one that got away. I should have done something with that person. And it's the idea basically like that like you always should tell somebody how you feel, because you never know if they're that person, or like how impactful that sentence could be. So I always am like, there's not a guarantee that I'll see you tomorrow or that our relationship will be the same tomorrow. So I'm going to tell you how I feel because it needs to be said, and it makes me feel better, and it clears my conscience, and I know that this is out there because I never want to have that moment again where I'm like, I didn't tell them this. Or I should have told them.
Understandable.
Because
but that also doesn't mean don't think before you speak.
Yeah, that's true.
Definitely think about the situation, the consequence, and how it could go before you're like, fuck it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think one thing with growing up is you know, obviously the people around you get older. This is, we're gonna get a little heartfelt real quick. This is where this came from, this mentality. My grandpa passed away, and the last conversation that I had with him was at like Thanksgiving or something. I think it was at Thanksgiving. And he sat down next to me, and he was like, you need to visit me more. I'm getting old. I don't know how long I'll be around. And that was the last conversation that I had with him.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember you.
And I was like, yeah, I'll visit you more. Like, yeah, of course. And like, and I could drive at this point. So there was literally no reason for me not to, other than laziness and just being like, you know, they're my grandparents. Yeah. And you don't realize like, because then like, you know, that happens and you're like, fuck, it's over.
Yeah, no, I feel you. Because I think for me, like, I don't know if you've ever been around. With my grandmother having Alzheimer's, it's just more of like remembering all the good shit, obviously, and then seeing, like, you know, episodes and seeing how she acts now and, like, how it affects her and shit like that. Like, it almost makes you, like in my mind, obviously, like, in my mind, and, like, in the most, like, nicest way, like, it's not my grandmother.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's almost like another entire human being that you're just watching in your grandparents' body, and it shit spooks me out, bro.
Yeah. That shit crazy.
Yeah, because for me, bro, like, my family, like, they're always like, oh, don't talk like that, yada, yada. But I literally told them, I was like, bro, as soon as I start losing my mind, bro, if y'all don't put me out, I promise you, I'm gonna go skydiving without a fucking parachute. You know what I mean? Like, like for real, because I think I would hate for my homies and my family members' last memories of me would be not remembering them. You know what I mean?
Remember me for what I was and not what I am.
Exactly. You know what I mean? And that's why, like, even when I said, like, when I die, like, I don't want a funeral. Like, I don't want anyone at my funeral to, like, lower my...
You want to wake.
And bake. You know what I mean? Like, I want a fat-ass fucking party celebration of life, like, in my name. Like, yo, I want everyone fucked up telling memories and stories about, yo, I remember when, you know, B did this. I remember when B did that, yada, yada, this and that. You know what I mean? Because, like, for me, like, that means more. Like, your name is getting lived on. You know what I mean? Like, through memories, through people, like, you know, remembering what you do, like, what you did for them. You know what I mean? So it's like, fuck all that, like, oh, like, I'm going to miss him, blah, 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 like, yada, yada, this and that. Nah, because if any of that fake shit gets passed around, bro, and someone shows up to my funeral that wasn't on some, like, good-ass vibes, bro, I'm going to haunt them, bro. Anybody who's at my shit better be on some good vibes, and it better be some real ones, bro. My shit's about to be, like, this big, but they about to get turned. Like,
speaking of, like, passing away and what you leave behind, I want to talk about, like, setting up achievements. Like, as you grow up, it's really becomes more and more apparent that, like, you have kind of like a timeline of achievements and things that you want to do, or like goals.
Based off of what?
Let's talk about your own personal, like how you should set up achievements and goals when you're growing up. And I think that we'll go back and forth. I think that you start as somebody who just turned 21 and kind of like give us that keynote of like what it was like for you, what is, and there's not a big age gap between us, but I think there's enough that like I have a little bit on you of like kind of how I went about like setting up goals and like my mindset on it, and then you know, you have a different mindset of like how to set up achievements, how to get where you want to be, how to like visualize that.
Yeah, I think for me, like, I genuinely started to think about, I knew I didn't want to do like the whole like 9 to 5 normal, like I didn't want to go in the military. I didn't want to do your normal like, oh, I want to do this normal job, I want to go to college here and do this, yada yada. Like, in my opinion,
yeah,
all that shit was boring. And like, hey, bro, if you can sit through college, bro, and you get a degree, by all means, you have my utmost respect. But for me, I cannot sit in a classroom for another 4 to 8 years.
And I want to specify really quick. I think that goals and achievements really start to form like junior to senior year of high school.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I don't think anything before that is really like that important. I think that it's important in the like the small term, like short term of like, oh, I want to get A's or whatever, like your short term goal, and like years before that is still important, just in a different way.
Yeah.
Anyway,
and I'll be honest with you, like, I think it's crazy. Like, even with me streaming, like, I think streaming has always been one of my dreams without even knowing it, because I've been watching people obviously make content with video games for so long. And like, same with you, like, you've been watching people, you know, make content, whether it be about shooters or, you know, like whatever.
Minecraft.
Like Minecraft, like whatever the fuck the videos are. And watching those people growing up and then being able to actually do it is like kind of crazy. You know what I mean? And being able to get like paid for it is like fucking nuts. Whether or not you're getting a lot of money or even a little bit, the fact that you're getting paid to play video games is fucking insane.
Yeah. It is crazy. I mean?
It is crazy to think about. And, you know, like me just kind of like realizing it, like, you know, I think people start to do dreams that they didn't even think about was an actual dream. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I feel like for me, like, I was so quick to like try and set up like for the longest time I can remember, like, all right, but what's my quickest way to make 6 figures? You know what I mean? Because they always tell you.
When I met Brendan, that was his mindset. He came in to my place,
zoned in on, bro, how can I make $100,000?
Yeah, he literally told me, like one of the third conversations we had, he was like, my goal is to be a millionaire by 22 or 21 at the time, but you're like by 22, and to leave the country. Before he left, a week before he left, he looks me dead in the eyes and he goes, Jaxon, I think I know what I'm doing. He says, I'm going to make $1 million. I'm going to be a millionaire, and then I'm going to fake my own death, and I'm going to leave.
That is still the plan. That is still the plan. I want to be a ghost.
And I said, that's fucking insane that you just said that to me.
I want to be a fucking ghost, bro. You have no idea. Like, my dream is to have enough money to fake my death, let the people who really, really matter in my life know.
Then why do you need to fake your own death? Why not just like dip? None of these people are going to reach out to you if they don't matter. You can just not answer, block them.
Taxes. If I'm dead, I don't have to pay for shit.
There's so many, allegedly. I'm
gonna forever pay my taxes. I'm gonna forever pay the country.
But it, like, that's crazy still. Anyway,
that's fucking lit, dude.
That's so,
dude.
My mom and her wife, their plan is for them to move. Okay, it's literally to get a hangar, like a airbase hangar in the middle of the woods. And that's what they want to move.
You know they have like neighborhoods like that, right?
And just have like a zombie apocalypse bunker, basically.
You know they have like neighborhoods like that, like up in the mountains, right?
Yeah.
Where they're like literally like house in your garage is a fucking hangar, and like people come in and
they mean like,
oh, there's Bill in his fucking plane.
No, but
we're gonna invite him over for dinner.
Not even just that. They just mean like in the middle of the woods, like nowhere, nothing near them, just a hangar. Like an airbase hangar.
That's some spooky ass shit.
They just have like set up for the zombie apocalypse that they can live in. And I'm like, that's fucking bad shit. But also kind of tight.
Kind of okay, so that's cool, but faking your death and just dipping isn't?
Yeah, but this is like a theoretical that they'll never actually do. I believe that you would try to fake your own death.
Not try. I would succeed.
I think that if you're doing content creation, you can't.
If I make enough money to the point where
podcast, you can't.
In honor of Brendan, Jaxon will continue on this podcast in my legacy.
Obviously. With a dude who just so happens to look like Brendan.
Yeah. But
who I will keep calling Brendan.
Nah, it'll be like Hefe.
Brandon.
Brandon.
Instead of Brendan.
Yeah. No, for real though. I think setting up goals, like, I think for me, I've had to always tell myself, yo, I'm only like, especially when I was 19, like trying to make content with like the homie YouTuber. I don't know if we're allowed to name drop Kobe.
That's up to you, dog. Yeah. I mean, he's
shout out to Kobe.
Pilled, so it's fine.
Yeah. Hey,
he's out there.
Yeah, shout out to Kobe Smith, bro. Go drop a fucking follow on his YouTube. Subscribe. That's the homie, dog.
I muted myself.
Yeah, whatever. That's the homie.
I'm kidding.
But like making content with him and like filming and shit like that, like I think we both kind of expected shit to happen so fast because we've seen other people blow up so quick, bro, like in a matter of months. But that's also like, that's not normal.
Yeah, no.
You know what I mean? And that's not how
rare.
that works. And it's very rare. But also in the same sense, it just means it's possible. You know, and that's all we needed.
Yeah. And
I think a big thing, people who kind of chase that 6-figure mindset, like, because don't get me wrong, I'm still on that 6-figure mindset. It's just more of like I'm not looking for quick, easy money, because at that time I was looking for any possible fucking way to make money.
Yeah, do you remember when you tried to get me into that pyramid scheme?
Facts! Hey, bro, if you've traded, you know. If you've traded, that's all I have to say. If you've traded, you know.
Yeah, it was crazy.
It was crazy. I tried to get Jaxon to sign up under me, and he wouldn't, because he didn't believe me, and I was like, yeah, you're probably...
That's not even why I had rent to pay.
Oh, yeah, that too. Yeah, that was rough.
I had just gotten over getting sick, and he was like, dude, you gotta hop on this. I said, I don't have fucking money.
Yeah, it was bad, bro. But regardless,
achievements. What does it look like for you? What was like your setup, and then like where are you now, and how do you view like achievements and goal setting?
Well, like I said, my setup was, all right, how do I make my 100,000?
Yeah,
you know what I mean, by any fucking means. And because they always say the first 100,000 is the hardest to make. Once you make 100,000, you're set. You can do that shit 15 times over, obviously. But once you get the mindset and the build for it, and you get your blueprint, you're golden. You know what I mean? So what that is, now it's just more in understanding that obviously I still want to make that 100,000, but understanding I just turned 21, bro. Yeah, there are people who fucking make millions of dollars at my age. There are people who have blown up and done. Yeah, Mr. Beast, bro. Dude's a fucking genius, bro. Has it down to a scientific fucking scheme on how to blow up. It's just fucking insane. But regardless, it's like, I'm only 21. And yeah, I may not be one of these fucking dudes who are out here just blowing up and like getting hella guap. But shit, who knows by 22 if I don't blow up? You know what I mean? It just depends on how much work I want to put into it. You know what I mean? And we've always talked about it. Like, I think I'm funny enough. I have the personality enough to make the content and like do big things. You know what I mean? But also in the same sense is like, am I putting in the work right now? Absolutely not. Can I be doing a lot more? Absolutely. Can you always be doing more? Absolutely. But also in the same sense, like I know for a fact I need to do more.
Yeah.
You know? So, and I think that just goes in with like holding yourself accountable, and like really genuinely like having that talk with yourself. Like, all right, bro, you're going to do this.
I think for me, growing up and like setting these achievements and stuff and goals, it was really hard for me because I was a very like long-term minded person. So for me, it's been like, how do I set myself up for short-term goals? And I think a lot of people with anxiety have that problem of like worrying so much about the future that they kind of forget to set short-term goals and like think about like, okay, what's like the next like day look like? What's the next like couple days look like? What's the next month? And I think that I really got zoned in too much on like, where am I going to be? How am I going to do this? And I think that it was like, my parents really wanted me to go to college, my dad especially. Which was always like a big contention point because I am not a school person. I was a season D student, and I was in college too. I got a scholarship based off my writing alone, and that's it. Otherwise, I would not have gotten a scholarship.
Crazy.
Yeah, it was actually crazy.
I got a scholarship to play frisbee golf that I never threw a fucking frisbee.
That's insane.
Got 13 grand. Never threw a fucking frisbee in college.
And a different story, but that's crazy. But the problem was like finding. So it was kind of like, how am I going to go to college? Where do I want to go? Why am I going? And I think that it's kind of like learning yourself, because I promise you, for all of you people who are like in college or finishing up or finishing up high school and getting ready to go to college, or who are people who are just like stressed about, you know, like trying to figure out what they're supposed to be doing with their life, nobody fucking knows.
Bro, you're only 18, 19, 20, 21. Like, bro, if you're, don't get me wrong, if you're still like 30, 35 still with your like parents or something like that, then maybe you got an issue. Like, don't get me wrong. But also in the same sense, like,
nobody knows what they want to do.
Nobody knows, bro. Even people who are like 55, bro. Like, there's stories about people who are 55 who end up going back to college because they want to go do something else with their life, bro.
And I promise you, the people who say that they like are dead set and they know what they want to do are either going to change their mind or fucking lying and just want comfort.
Capper, you're a capper. And
if you genuinely believe it, like, I'm happy for you, but you might change your mind, because you know what? That's what I did. I got to graduation and I was like, I want to go into game design. And I was dead set on it. And I was like, this is what I want to do. This is what I like. This is what I'm good at. Like, I understand systems and I want to know the ins and outs. And like, I think I could do it. I'm creative enough for it. I got to university. I got in, scholarship and all. And I sit down in my first class. It's the very first class at this school I've ever had. And it's Introduction to Game Design 101, which is crazy. Sit down. And my teacher, the first thing out of his mouth is, all right, for those who stick around, in 3 years or 2 years, you're only going to see about 1% to 5% of you. Because the rest of you are going to leave, because this is not about playing games. And just because you like playing games does not mean you're meant to be a game designer. And he said, and you will drop out because it's hard. And if you think that you went into design because you're not good at art and you don't really care about programming, then you're in the wrong course, because you have to do both.
Get shit on.
And literally, and I kid you not, 2 people stand up, walk out the class, which is crazy, because the size, when you think university, it's obviously like you think of a big lecture hall. For me, it's the size of a high school classroom.
It was like, what, maybe 15, 20 people?
Yeah, it's like 15 to like 25, maybe 30. So 2 people leave. By the end of the class, 2 more people walked out. And they could have just been going to another class, but I didn't see them the next time we had class.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, fuck. So we finished our lecture, and like, that's pretty much what it's like. And it gets reiterated to us. And our first task, the first thing we have to do is get with a random team, 2 people we've never met before, and we have to create a GDD, which is called a game design document, which basically means you have to create the entire pre-production blueprint of a game, the story, why it's needed, like what the gameplay is like, core functions, everything. You blueprint out an entire game, and it's the first class we've ever had. And it's the first trial we have. And then you present it to the whole class.
Damn. So your teacher basically sets you up for failure and goes, all right, make a fool of yourself.
Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It's fucking hard. I won't even lie to you.
So is it one of those, like, to prove to yourself, like, yo, this is a lot harder than you think it is?
Yeah, my school has one of the highest dropout rates out of any university, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, yeah.
Which is insane.
Sick. It's fucking tight, bro. Get better, bitches.
But all of this to basically say, like, I graduated with that degree, and I realized, like, halfway through the year that I didn't want to do it. That I didn't want to be a game designer. And it's not even just for the fact that, like, I didn't like the school. I didn't like schooling. It was the fact that, like, the industry kind of sucks to be a game designer. I like the concept. I like doing it. I'm literally opening up my own company with a friend for game design, like, for creating games, because I like doing it, but it's not what I want to do. Like, and end all is not to be a game designer.
And I think if you're a person, or if you've ever heard of a person who says, yeah, this is my end all, this is all I want to do with my life, you're fucking lying, bro. Because if you have only one and one dream only, you must be a different fucking human being and breed, bro. Because everyone has different dreams, everyone has different things they want to do with their lives.
And I think that the biggest takeaway that you can have whenever you are thinking about what you want to do is, or like setting up goals and achievements, is think about what you'll be happy with. Think about something that makes you happy and aim for that. Because 9 times out of 10, that's enough. And you know what? If I honestly got a job as a game designer, I'd be happy. I'd be content. I'd be cool with that. And that's something that makes me happy enough to where I could be like, yeah, I could do this in the meantime till I figure out what else I want to do.
Yeah, but how many people you can go up to today? How many people in our line of job or line of work that we work right now, we ask, do you genuinely enjoy what you do? And they go, absolutely not. And I go, so why do you work there? It gets the bills paid. I get paid enough.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's enough. I'm like, bro, so you're telling me, or they're, I have a family to provide for, like, yada, yada, this and that. And, like, I understand that. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, people have kids and people have lives, but I also know people who have a lot of kids and still do what the fuck they want with their life.
And there's no shame in also just having a job and for the meantime. don't get us wrong. Like there's definitely times where you just pick up the job that you need because you're trying to get wherever you want to be.
We're both in those right now,
and that's okay.
You know what I mean?
It's not a problem.
It's not a bad thing, but being content with that, but being content with that and being like, oh yeah, like I'm kind of just chilling. Like I don't really know what I want to do. Like don't ever not know what you want to do. Like at least try and aim for something.
Have a goal.
No one really knows what they're doing, but in the meantime, have a goal towards something. It's gonna change. It's always gonna flop around and shit like that. But just keep working towards something, and you're always gonna end up.
Yeah, have a goal and have a plan of how to achieve that goal, and always have a long-term goal. So a long-term goal for me is year to 2 years time, anywhere in that span. A short-term goal is 6 months to a month. It could be 6 months to a week. That is a short-term goal.
I feel you.
It is something that you can achieve within a reasonable amount of time and feel like you're constantly making progress towards. Always have those two. And it doesn't have to be like you have multiple. It can be one. One of each is always a really good thing because a long-term goal takes so long that it's something that you can constantly feel progress towards, and you can be like, I'm not really feeling this, and you can shift it. A short-term goal is something that you always want to, it keeps you going. It's something that is small enough that makes you feel accomplished and feels good, and also pushes you towards either like growth or like a milestone for something that you love or care about, or whatever it may be, you know. But always have a short-term and a long-term goal. It can even be related to your hobby. Yeah, I think that's like one of the key things that people don't realize how important it is when you're growing up.
All about happiness, baby.
I think the last thing that on this like kind of topic is battling with what society expects of you as you grow up. So like I think when you reach 21, there's kind of a big mindset of like you should either know what you want to do,
or you should be pretty damn close. Yeah.
And I think that we're going to have two perspectives on this because I am about to be 22. So I almost have 2 years on you. And you're just turned 21, freshie. So how does it feel going into being 21, like of kind of what society looks at you as? I go ahead.
You want me to be honest?
Yeah.
In my opinion?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to check the camera.
There you go. In my opinion, I could give two fucks about what society thinks about. Like obviously, like I understand that like society obviously sets these expectations on what we're supposed to be doing, what we're supposed to be at in our life. But I think I've met enough people who are our age, if not older than me, that my mindset and my mentality, the way I look at life, is so far, in my opinion, from the way I look at it, is so far more seeing the big picture to life, understanding what it is, and kind of like unfolding, you know, the shit that you need to unfold to be able to attack life. Because I think I have all the components to be successful, and I think I have all the components in my hands and in my possession to really do some fucking damage in this world. And we've talked about it before, but I think one of my biggest things is just being lazy. You know what I mean? I'm a very, like, I know I have to stop being so lazy. You know what I mean? So for me, it's like, all right, bro, pick it the fuck up. You know, and understanding, like, all right, bro, you need to do this better. You need to do that. Are you noticing my nails?
Yeah.
Yeah. My mom did that. It was a marshmallow, and then I have, like, a little smile. Yeah.
Anyway, keep going.
But just not letting anyone being, like, you know how so many, like, when you see those people who you went to high school with, or you see those people who, like, you know, you used to work with.
It's a rough one for me.
Yeah, they go, oh, what are you up to? Or yada, yada. And you almost feel, like, obligated to have some, like,
good thing,
spectacular fucking answer that they're going to be like, oh, my God, like, that's crazy.
For a real quick perspective, how far away is high school from you? How long ago was high school? Graduation?
3 years.
For
no.
me,
yeah, 3 years, because I, like, just turned 18 and then graduated.
Yeah?
Yeah, more like 4 years.
4 years? For me, it's 5 or 6.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. 2018. Oh, no, it would be 4 or 5.
Yeah, I graduated 2019.
Yeah, so it would be 3 or 4 for you.
Yeah, I'm probably pushing more 4. But, yeah, like, when you see those people out of high school, like the freshmen we knew are graduated out of high school now. You know what I mean? So, like,
freshman that I knew.
Yeah, like in high school.
Just graduated.
Yeah.
Or a year out.
Yeah. And
which is crazy.
Yeah, which is not like it makes you feel old. You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, because thinking about like my senior year, like I work with one of the homies that I played ball with. He was a freshman. I was a senior. I was one of his senior captains. So like he like looks at me as like his big brother like at work. Yeah. And so like he like anyway. When I first got there, he was always talking about like, oh yeah, like in high school, like, you know, playing football, running, yada yada, this and that. And I was just like, fuck, bro, like you making me feel old, bro. Like high school really was a minute ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's just graduating, dog. And for me, it's like, fuck.
Anyway, so people, your train was like, you feel like you have to have something spectacular to tell these people.
Yeah, and it's like, I know a lot of people always have to have like that, you know, spectacular fucking answer, like, oh, I'm doing like so well with my life, blah blah blah, this and that. And I honestly, I wish people were more honest to the point where like, right now, I hate my life.
You know what's crazy? I've gotten over that.
Swear.
And you know why? Where we work. Where I work, I see so many of the people that I went to high school with, and they'll come by and they'll be like, oh, dude, what are you up to? And I'm like, this. I'm like, I'm making content and I'm doing this, and then I'm starting my own company, which sounds super exciting, but all of it is I work at X place, enter name here.
Yeah, literally.
And I'm doing 2 projects that I'm not getting paid for right now. I'm doing small time stuff that like could go somewhere, but is big risk.
Yeah, and not enough. I feel like not enough people are always like honest and genuinely like they always try and like beat around the bush or like sugarcoat,
which is super funny because in reality, like I feel like I am in a lot better of a place than my peers were. Because one guy comes through, right, and I'm like, "What are you up to, man?" Like, you know, like I'm super honest. He's like, "Oh, that's kind of weird," because like, and he's like, oh, yeah, sure, like, yeah, like I'm you know, I work over there, and I was like, oh, like at that place, and it was like a restaurant. And he's like, oh yeah, and I was like, nice. So you going to college? And he's like, oh, I dropped out. And like he kind of like says it like you know whenever people are like
like one of them
I was like, oh, like, yeah, that's all right, man. You know, like, what else are you doing? He's like, oh, just trying to figure out kind of what I want to do. He's like, you know, I want to move out, but I don't really know how. And then, like, I've hit that moment of, like, oh, shit. I don't need to brag about anything. I don't need to, like, make something up because, 1, I don't give a shit what these people think. And 2, because it doesn't matter. Because you know what? That time that you see those people, the next time that you see them will be just as rare and spontaneous, and you will not speak to them again until then.
And you both are going to probably be 2 different people than the last time you guys fucking met, which is crazy.
Not even just that, but I was just like, you know what? I moved out on my own, and
the fact that you're 22 moved out, like, is probably one of the biggest fucking accomplishments that you can have.
And I have a management position, and I am doing what I want to do, and I'm doing opening up a business. And so you know what? That sounds pretty good. But anyway, I think that when it comes to like what society expects from you, I think that it boils down to like understanding that at the end of the day, everybody moves at a different pace. And as long as you're not letting your situation become an excuse, then you're fine. I think that like as long as you are moving forward towards a goal or an achievement and
whether it be,
and you don't let that, whatever your situation currently is, whatever your ailment is, like whatever your problem is, whatever like you're struggling through, don't let it be an excuse, and you are perfectly fine.
It's an excuse up to a certain extent. Like there's always like a line for that excuse, because I feel like there's.
I think you're wrong.
I feel like so many people use excuses like for like the same shit though.
Yeah, well, here's my thing. Like for me, like I found out that my mom has breast cancer, and like that shit rocked me. For a couple of reasons of like bad past experiences, and like it's also just a scary thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I like had it like ripped me apart for like a day, and then I was like, I can't let this like, you know, like I can't go into work in like a week's time and be like, oh dude, I'm just miserable because of this. Like you got to move forward. And you know, like obviously situations vary and stuff, but like stuff happens every single day, and things are always going to be hard. There's never a perfect time to tell somebody bad news. There's never a perfect time for something to happen. It is always going to suck. It is always going to be like, oh, things were getting better and now this happened. It's like, that's how it goes. That's life. Things happen. You got to kind of roll with the punches. And at a point, it is like I'm using my excuses because I'm just not willing to own up to the fact that it's my fault that this isn't happening. And that's why I say you're wrong. Because I think that your only limitation is whether or not you're willing to accept the fact that you are making excuses.
It's understandable.
It's okay to have bad days. It's okay to not like always be at 100, but
yeah, I feel you. Like, I always get that like there's stuff going on. You know what I mean? I always understand that there's like things that people are going through, but it's like kind of like how you said, but like, are you gonna let it like affect you completely?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it's like for the people who genuinely always like for the people who always have something that's affecting something. Like, you know what I mean? Like they never cannot have something affecting them.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like I get
all
it.
Of us
like
got stuff.
Everyone has shit going on. You know what I mean? But there are some people who just handle it better. And it's like if you're not continuously like trying to like everyone's plate is full. And if everyone's trying to organize their plate, everyone's trying to eat their shit out in a timely manner.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you're not trying to do that as well, then like get to it, bro.
So I think to kind of wrap things up with like growing up and how to manage those expectations, like is know that what society thinks doesn't really matter as long as you're moving forward and you're comfortable with how the pace you're moving forward, and you're like setting goals, and that ultimately like your timeline and your achievements are your achievements for a reason, and just like don't beat yourself up because like it doesn't always happen the way that you think it will. Life's weird like that and stuff happens, and growing up too fast isn't something to be ashamed of. Just be wary of like what you let it do to you. That's kind of my final thoughts on it.
Oh, I agree. I mean, take it as you will. You know what I mean? My final thoughts on growing up is fuck society. Society has its own markers that they think that is acceptable. They think that, you know, by certain ages and certain things, you know, you have to have shit accomplished. And I think whether or not you're successful by the time you're 21 or by the time you're 75, if you end up successful in being able to manage for whatever people you have around you, or even if it's just yourself, you know what I mean? Then you did it, you know? Yeah. And however you end up happy and content and can sit back, kick your feet up and be like, I can die today and be okay. You know what I mean? Whatever gets you to that point, bro, fuck it.
Yeah. And with that, I think we're going to come up for air. Speaking of growing up and what all that means, tomorrow we head to Vegas for Brennan's birthday.
And I'm about to get fucked up. Like, my goal, I told my parents, like, I'm trying to get blacked out. Like, I don't want to remember this weekend at all. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. Vegas, I'm trying to like just get fucking rowdy.
Yeah. Is there anything specific you want to talk about with your birthday hype? Or just like anything that you're excited for in Vegas?
In Vegas?
Or just like your birthday in general that's happened?
I don't know. It's been really cool to like kind of go out and like, so like last night I went to State 48 with some of the homies that aren't going to Vegas. Mm-hmm. So that way I still like spent like, you know, my birthday with some people. Yeah. And the dude looked at me, he was like, oh bro, I would have thought you were like 25, 26. He's like, I literally wouldn't have ever carded you. If you came in here with some confidence and ordered something, it's like I probably wouldn't have carded.
That's what's crazy is that people don't realize like, and I was one of the big people who was like golden boy. I didn't like, I bought like nothing before I could. Like the thing that I bought before I could was a Zippo.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. And it was just because like I wanted a Zippo. Because technically you have to be 18 to buy a Zippo.
Yeah. And
which is wild.
I realized that it was confidence when, honestly, it wasn't that long
Never get carded when you're 21, basically, is what we're saying.
Yeah, bro. Like, once you turn 21, literally, like, it's like everyone in the fucking world goes, unlocked, I already know it. You know what I mean? And they're like, oh, fuck it, you look 21.
Unless you're like a server who's a little worried about it at a restaurant. But, like, when you go to a bar,
9 times out of 10, if you get into the bar and you look confident, you don't look like you're nervous, like you're about to fucking break the law, they're going to serve you a drink.
Or you go to like a fancy restaurant also.
Yeah, I literally went to Applebee's with my homies out in Kansas. Don't get me wrong, it's Kansas. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
I went in fucking to Applebee's and the dude's taking an order and I'm looking at this alcohol menu and I look at the homie Josh. I go, $10. He doesn't fucking charge me or ID me. Josh is like, you have a full grown beard. I promise you, he's not IDing you. And I was like, all right, bet. So I'm like, hey, bro, out of these, which one are your favorite? And he goes, I ain't gonna lie to you, it's this one. And it was like some blue, like, I think it was like Adios motherfucker or some shit like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, bro, can I give it to this? He goes, yeah.
Yep. That's it.
Walks away. And I was like, I looked at Josh and I looked at his cousin and I was like, bro, no shot, that just worked. They were like, bro, you literally look like a grown ass man. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's fucked. But I'm excited for Vegas. I think it's gonna be dope. I'm hoping we like meet some cool ass people, and like I hope we meet like a dope ass bartender where we're like, hey bro, it's my 21st. Like I'm trying to get fucked up, and then he's like, bro, say less. Like I got you, dog. You know what I mean? Like those are always like cool stories. Meeting someone famous would be dope. And I think just to kind of like experience. I haven't been to Vegas in a minute, bro. And I'm really excited to gamble. I really want to gamble. Like I think I'm gonna have
a big poker.
I want to play. You're gonna have to teach me like what's up with poker, like the ins and outs.
I want us to have a poker night.
We could do that.
Yeah,
we can definitely do that.
Like a 5 or 20.
And I also want to learn how to play craps. I want to learn how to play fucking roulette. I mean, you don't.
Nick would be down to play poker for a poker night, by the way.
I mean, we'd actually have to put in like real money though.
Yeah, we get like 5 or 20 buy-in, and then whoever wins the game takes the pot.
Hella.
Yeah,
I'm with that.
Pretty fun.
About to whip some ass because I'm a competitive ass person. But yeah, I think it's gonna be fun to gamble a little bit. I'm either gonna love it or hate it very quickly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
probably hate it.
Probably.
I want to talk about Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness because that just came out.
Yeah, bro. Spoiler.
Actually, okay. Quick non-spoilers. We're gonna go real quick. For non-spoilers, it's lit. Honestly, it's Sam Raimi.
If you don't like the movie, grow the fuck up.
No, I wouldn't say that. I think that the movie's definitely not for everybody because it's a Sam Raimi movie, which is like inherently kind of corny. Sam Raimi's the same guy who directed Evil Dead.
I hope you know that this conversation right here
and Spider-Man.
Yeah, this conversation right here, I want you to have with my brother.
Original Spider-Man.
Yeah, I want you to have this conversation with my brother because he literally said the same thing. He was like, I love Doctor Strange simply because it is a Sam Raimi movie, and he grew up watching like Evil Dead and even the cutscenes.
Yeah.
Or the post credit scenes.
Yeah. Very Evil Dead.
Super Evil Dead because of that dude. And so I guess that dude is like he it's almost like how the Stanley's in every Marvel movie.
Yeah.
He's in every one of Sam Raimi's movies.
He is?
Since back to like the 80s or something like that. And so to see that, like my brother was like, bro, like he's one of those people who could appreciate it. You know what I mean? Because he likes that corny movie. Also, Evil Dead, Ash versus Evil Dead or some shit like that. The Puerto Rican dude with the like curly hair.
Yeah.
Apparently that's my cousin.
That's crazy. We got to talk about that.
Yeah. Which is nuts. We could talk about it later. But
okay.
yeah.
That's crazy.
My mom can explain it.
But super corny in the sense of like some of the writings and like, but also it's the most dynamically shot Marvel film. There's the most camera movement ever.
Yeah, and so many of like there's like a good solid amount of jump scares.
Yeah,
like Marvel movies don't have.
3.
Yeah, Marvel movies don't necessarily have like jump
which
scares.
It's funny because some of the people who were like super big Sam Raimi fans, like my roommate, her big complaint was like, it doesn't feel like Sam Raimi got enough like space to breathe. And I'm like, I think you're wrong. The fact that Disney let Marvel do as much as they did, because that movie's gory. Like that movie gets away with some brutal kills.
Yeah, facts, bro. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Like some moments that you literally go, how did they greenlight that?
Yeah, no, 100. Where you're like, bro, are we watching a Marvel movie right now?
Yeah, where I was like, dude, if there's kids in the theater, I'm a little worried about them. They might have to like get the nightlight on tonight.
Yeah, bro, because like that's some shit where you see like. You get nightmares if you're depending on the type of kid you are.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
But like anyway, I think that it's super good. I think that you have to go in understanding that it's like it's a setup film. It's meant to kind of like be a story about Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange, and it's setting up a lot of stuff in the future.
Literally everything.
And it's campy. You know, it's a little bit of like that silly, cheesy kind of like classic horror mixed with like also just weird, like funny,
trippy shit.
Funny like multiverse stuff. Yeah, it's
meant to be weird and fucking kooky.
Yeah,
and, like,
but also it's like I get people's concern of like the story didn't feel like it was much there, or like the emotional moments didn't feel like they were deserved. But at the same time, like it's a Marvel movie, you know. Like
we've also gone through the fucking Avengers and Endgame. I think we've had enough emotional fucking.
Yeah, moments. I think that right now we're on like
we're in another building. We're
building up. Yeah,
we're in another building stage where people like they're building everything to come together and do another. You know, who knows a
big thing.
Yeah, maybe they top Endgame. You know what I mean?
I think also like people. Doctor Strange is one of like the least performing heroes. I think it's either that or Captain Marvel. Like in sales for movies. Eternals don't count. Eternals doesn't make sense. Don't worry about it. They don't count. They're not a part of this equation because they just it was not good. Anyway,
they're not Marvel.
But it's like I'd give this movie honestly like an 8 or 7 out of 10.
Yeah, I would throw it up there.
It's pretty good. It's fun. You have to go in understanding like that it's a Marvel movie. It's going to be campy. It's going to be silly at times, and it's the same Raimi movie. So if you have love for that director, then you instantly will be like, yeah, I can feel it. I can feel his touch.
Yeah, and not only that, but like if you're a Marvel geek and some of the shit that you saw in that movie,
dude, some of it
you're gonna appreciate it.
Like even just seeing Doctor Strange's outfit, you're like, it's comic book accurate almost.
Yeah, like little
great.
Things. It's
cool.
Things.
But yeah, I think I'm cool with not getting into spoilers. Honestly, I think that we don't need to.
Okay,
I think that right now it's fine. But yeah, it's good. If you haven't see it, I'm pretty sure it'll be a couple weeks old at this point, if not like a month or so.
Yeah.
By the time this gets released.
Yeah, but if you haven't seen it, fucking go watch it.
It's fun. It's a good time.
And if you think so, otherwise, on our opinions, fucking tell us why.
But otherwise,
I think we're good.
Yeah, I think that's this has been coming up for air. Brendan, where can they find you?
Instagram, I'll put it in the fucking...
Yeah, it'll all be down below,
we'll
but still...
Instagram, Twitter, I need to make a TikTok. You can go blow up the couple videos I do have of me being fucking goofy and talk about being a pothead on my TikTok. And what else? Oh, Twitch. Yeah, come watch me fucking shit on PC players and mouse and key players like Jaxon with the controller.
You can find me at ArtQ on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitch. That's where you'll find me at.
And bigdickenergy.com.
Yeah, don't look that one up. But otherwise, we'll see you guys next time. And until then, peace.